Think back to 1 year ago. You're out running errands as usual, in and out of the store, bank, wherever it is you need to be. Now, these normal and everyday tasks have become much more stressful. We have to always worry about covering our faces, staying far away from other people, always washing and sanitizing our hands, and disinfecting everything before it enters our home. It feels hopeless, like there's nothing we can do. But we can do something to stop all of this, and all it takes is a simple face mask. We all want life to go back to normal. We're tired of masks, social distancing, all the fear and uncertainty. We just want life to go back to the way it was. Wearing a face mask is the best way to protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. Keeping myself and my family safe from COVID has been a top priority of mine since March of 2020, so I keep up to date with all the latest information on how to stay safe. Wearing a surgical face mask is simple and keeps everyone safe. Social distancing is going to become harder to do in the winter, making wearing a mask much more essential, and waiting for a vaccine is not the best way to stay safe from COVID-19. Wearing a face mask is the best way to protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. To understand how face masks keep everyone safe, we need to understand just how much bacteria they prevent from leaving the body. The main reason to wear a face mask is to stop the virus from leaving a sick person's body and entering someone else's. In a research paper published by the British Journal of Anesthesia and published in 2017, the researchers found that wearing a surgical face mask prevents the spread of bacterial contamination caused by the upper airway. Without a mask on, the researchers found that bacterial colonies grew on more than 50% of the plates used during the study. When masks were worn, there was only a small and insignificant increase in the number of bacteria isolated because the mask prevented it from leaving. Putting this in terms of people as opposed to plastic surfaces, if a person is sick with COVID-19 and doesn't wear a mask, then over half the people the infected person came into contact with are at risk of contracting this highly contagious virus. On the other hand, if a sick person wears a face mask, then it almost completely stops the spread of the virus. While masks are more effective when worn by individuals who are sick with COVID-19, the Center for Disease Control still recommends that all people wear a face mask if possible. According to the CDC's official website, everyone should wear a face mask in a public setting because you could spread COVID-19 to others even if you do not feel sick. The phenomenon of spreading the virus while not having any symptoms is called being asymptomatic. According to the World Health Organization, up to 80% of all COVID infections are mild or asymptomatic. This makes it very important that everyone wears a mask in public because it's possible that someone could be spreading the virus without knowing. Now that we understand how face masks keep everyone safe, I will discuss why wearing a mask will be much more important to do in the winter season. By wearing a face mask, we can stop the spread of COVID-19. Wearing a mask will be even more important because social distancing is going to be much more difficult to do in the winter. People will not be able to go outside, which means people cannot stay at least 6 feet apart as easily. In a Washington Post article published on October 31st, 2020, written by Josh Dawsey, the country's leading infectious disease expert, Anthony S. Fauci, was quoted saying, "We're in for a whole lot of hurt. It is not a good situation. All the stars are aligned in the wrong places as you go into the fall and winter seasons, with people congregating at home indoors. You could not be positioned more poorly." Because people will have to be in buildings during the winter, it heightens the spread of COVID-19. According to the CDC official website, when people are in enclosed spaces with poor ventilation, COVID-19 can sometimes be spread by airborne transmission. This means if you want to stay safe in public during the winter, wearing a face mask will be much more important because we might not always be able to rely on social distancing. Now that we understand why wearing a face mask will be much more important in the winter seasons, I'll explain why waiting for a vaccine is not the best way to stay safe from the virus. Wearing a mask is important because we still do not have a vaccine and will take a very long time before everyone is vaccinated. In a HuffPost article written by Julia Rees and published on September 21st, 2020, when the first supply of vaccines become available, the healthcare workers, elderly, people with underlying health conditions, and first responders will get the first doses of the vaccine. Everyone else will have to wait until supplies become more available. This means that the majority of the population will have to rely on face masks for protection from the virus. Along with limited supplies, the vaccine is not guaranteed immunity. Much like a flu shot, some people who are vaccinated, they end up getting sick anyways. But the main goal of a vaccine is to create herd immunity, meaning enough people are immune that the virus cannot spread to anyone. In the same HuffPost article, Julia Rees states that vaccines are likely to be more than one shot spaced out over a few weeks, so to keep ourselves safe during that time frame, we need to rely on face masks. We still do not have a due date for a vaccine, and once a vaccine does come along, it will take a very long time for every American to receive vaccination. Today I discussed how wearing a face mask prevents the spread of the virus. Secondly, I discussed why you should wear a face mask more during the winter. And finally, I explained why wearing a mask is better protection than waiting for a vaccine. Wearing a face mask is the best way to protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. We need to keep ourselves safe from this virus, and the best way to do it is to just wear a mask. Wearing a mask is easy to do and extremely effective at keeping yourself and others safe. Please, next time you go out in public, make sure you wear a mask. If everyone wears a mask, not only will the spread be stopped, but it eliminates worrying about if someone is sick or not. Thank you for listening to my speech.